Hey, hot tubbers, it's Jackie the Hot Tub Lady, and you are listening to the podcast Tub Talk with the Hot Tub Lady, and I am finally back. I have been off the air for about 6 months, and today I am back just to talk about all the questions that everybody has had while I've been gone. I did try to keep up on Facebook and Instagram as much as possible, but now I am back. As most of you know, I had a double knee replacement, and it didn't go very well. It was very, very painful, and one of these days I'll be feeling quite a bit better, and I hope that it'll be good. But as of right now, I'm up and moving now. So, but we're back on the air, and I will be back to also doing weekly videos so that you guys can definitely come back to the channel. I'll have weekly content. I'm going to start putting that up on Sundays, and then I will be doing the podcast live on Tuesdays. So really glad to see everyone here today, and looking forward to answering any questions that you guys may have. Today is literally just kind of an open Q&A. I do have a few questions that people have asked over time that I have answered, but I'm going to just kind of touch base on them, because if one person has a question, typically several people have a question. How's my sound? I'm assuming I'm okay. I've been kind of practicing a little bit. It's been a long time. It's been December 17th was the last time I recorded a podcast, and I did not plan on taking that much time off, but here we are, and we are ready to go. So I'm just going to get started here. We're going to start with the first question. And that question is how often should I change the water in my hot tub? So that's a great question, and I actually got that a lot, and it's really a good question for this time of year. You should, if you are a chlorine hot tub, bromine hot tub, any other hot tub of that type, you should change your water on your hot tub every 3 to 4 months. And that is something that it is based on usage. So if you're a 2 to 3 time a week user, there's 2 to 4 people in the hot tub that often, you should definitely change your hot tub every 3 to 4 months. And the reason that you do that is that your total dissolved solids actually start getting high. And when the total dissolved solids start getting high, the chlorine is not able to work effectively. So you've got these total dissolved solids in the water, and your chlorine or your sanitizer is bouncing around, and it's doing its thing. And then once they get too many total dissolved solids, and those are from chemicals mainly, because there's a lot of fillers in the chemicals. They come from chemicals, they come from body oils, they come from sweat, they come from all the things that's getting in the hot tub all the time. And as those get higher, then you need to change your water so your sanitizer can be effective. So on a chlorine or a bromine hot tub, every 3 to 4 months. On a salt water hot tub, you only have to change that water once a year. And the reason for that, and use your judgment, if it's getting used a lot, which my hot tub gets used a ton. It's used every single day, typically two times a day. And Frank and I both are in there a lot, and we use it a ton. We drain ours twice a year, but you could really get by with just changing it once a year. And that's one of the beautiful reasons to own a saltwater hot tub, is that you don't have to think about it, and that water does really good. And because you're not adding as many chemicals, I'm not saying you're never adding chemicals, but because you're not adding as many chemicals to a saltwater hot tub, your total dissolved solids don't climb as fast. And then you can not only change the water once a year, which is fantastic, and that helps so much. And that's good for the environment and all the things. And then the water's just great, and you only have to balance it once, and that's absolutely awesome. So if you get the opportunity to have a saltwater hot tub, I highly recommend it. But if you're on the chlorine, bromine, or something like that, 3 or 4 times a year, frog eddies, if you're on a biguanide, Baquacil or Baqua Spa or soft skin spa or something like that, again, I would do it every 3 to 4 months. Now, the reason this is a good time of year to do this is it's the beginning of summer, spring's ending, it's Memorial this weekend, and it's a absolute great time. In fact, I plan on draining my hot tub this week, and I will probably purge my hot tub when I do that. And I've got a brand new purge to try out. But hot tub scrub. He's got a brand new purge. I'm going to try that out. So I'll do a video on that so that you guys can check that out. And it'll definitely take care of that. Um, so we're going to do that, but it's a good time to do that. Just to do a really deep clean your filters, scrub the hot tub out, drain it, purge it. Now you really only have to purge your hot tub once a year, maybe. There's a lot of people out there saying that you need to purge it every single time. That's overkill. You don't need to purge your hot tub every time you drain it, but you do need to purge it maybe once a year. And I've been in the industry for over 20 years now. I hate to admit that, but up 14 years ago, 15 years ago, we never purged hot tubs. We didn't realize what needed to be done, and you got to get out the biofilm and all the gunk that builds up in those lines. And the very first time I purged my hot tub, I was blown away. I was like, it was a brand new hot tub. So it's important that you do that, but once a year is plenty. You don't need to be doing it every single time you drain your hot tub. And but make sure that you do that, and that helps a lot. So we got DW here, and he has a question. Let's see if I can get him pulled up here. Let me pull him down so I can read that. DW says, why does the green light on my hot spring salt system alternate between solid green and then blinking only to go back to solid green again? I've already changed the salt cell and cleaned the filters. Great question, DW. What I would say, what you probably got going on there is your salt levels may be too high, and that can cause it to blink, whether the salt levels are too high or too low. I haven't seen a bad salt cell in over a year, so it shouldn't be anything along that lines. But it's if the green light is blinking, it's typically the salt system needs attention of some sort. And how long's it been since you changed your water? Because that could be something on that as well. So I mean, those would be the two things that I would check, but I'm guessing at this point your salt level is off a little bit. You do not want to be over 1750 part per million on your salt. So kind of keep an eye on that. I'm going to say hello to Rose. She stopped in and said good morning. So hello, Rose. And Frank says everything is good. So hey guys, thank you so much. If you have any questions at all, just leave questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. And in the meantime, I've got quite a few of my own over here that people have asked. So we will go with that. My next question is, how do I test water chemistry on my hot tub? Very simple to do, and I was actually going to set this up before I came, and I didn't. But what you want to do, my suggestion is definitely you want to get just regular test strips. Test strips, or if you're going to do a kit, a liquid kit, you definitely want to go to the Taylor kit with the DPD tablets that test free chlorine, the OTO and phenol red, just the 2-part kit. Those don't do you any good, and you're actually just completely and totally wasting your money if you're getting those. But my favorite is, let me grab these real quick. My favorite are the freshwater or aqua check, either of those two brands. But they just have everything on the back of the hot tub where you just lighten up the scale, and you just want to flip open the lid. You're going to take your strip, you're going to dip it in your water. I'm going to dip it in this here. It should be really acidic, just so we can see it. And yeah, it is. It's an old cup of coffee. But just so you guys can kind of see. But as you line that up, obviously my chlorine's at 0, my bromine's at 0, my alkalinity is about an 80, my pH is off the chart. So that's really bad to be putting in your body. And then I have no hardness on that. But again, that was just an old cup of coffee, and I don't recommend that you do that. I was going to grab some hot tub water to do that. Otherwise, I would highly recommend the eye care. That is one of my absolute favorite products, and I really think that that's a good thing. It tells you exactly what you need to do to your hot tub, how to the exact dosages, everything that you need to do as far as taking care of your hot tub. It monitors the temperature, and it sends you notifications when you need to do stuff. It's important to keep it charged, and it's important to keep it connected to the internet. But it's a really great thing. Jim Walls is a good friend of mine, and he is actually helping me out on the clean your hot tub, uh, clean your hot tub website on Facebook. So it's a private Facebook group. If you guys want to join us over there, let me pull that up real quick so that you guys can kind of see that. But it's just Facebook, and it is Clean Your Hot Tub Filter is the name of it. And if I can, there we go. So we'll do that there. Let me blow that up so you can see it. But we have a ton of activity, and people are really, really involved in this. And we get questions on there pretty much every single day. And Kayla helps me on that. And I've got quite a few people. And so if I can't get to you right away, somebody else will get to you right away. So that's a really, really good place. There's a lot of hot tub experts. A lot of people in the industry are on this, and they are marked as experts as well. But the group is growing like crazy, and lots of good questions. But Clean Your Hot Tub Filter, great place to go if you want to get questions answered. And a lot of people will answer you. But that is my Facebook group, and it does really well. But Jim Walls helps me out with that. And if you're thinking about the eye care, that is probably the best place to get support and questions for your eye care. One of us will typically usually answer you within 24 hours, if not even that long, and we'll answer your questions on the eye care. So that's a really good place to check out as well. So let me get back over here. So that's kind of how you test your hot tub water. Really important that you do that about once a week if you're doing that. And then, like I said, if you're one of those mad scientist people who love to play with the actual kits are great. You just got to make sure you get the right kit. So get like the Taylor DPD that has the free chlorine tablets. So that's how you test the difference between free chlorine and total chlorine. And one of the reasons why you test the difference between free chlorine and total chlorine is chlorine becomes what we call a combined molecule. And when it becomes a combined molecule, it is no longer effective, and it is no longer sanitizing the hot tub. And that's when it stinks. That's when it smells like chlorine. That's when your eyes burn and it's irritating to the skin and that type of thing. And that's called a chloramine or a combined molecule. And so if you want to know the difference between your total chlorine and your free chlorine, if they ever get more than two parts per million apart, then it's time to shock your hot tub. So that's a really good rule of thumb on that. And then I've got more questions about shocking your hot tub, but that's why you would want to know what your free chlorine is. Otherwise, if you're just using the test strips like this, it's just going to tell you what the free chlorine is. But the free chlorine is what matters. The total chlorine doesn't do anything for you other than tell you that you have combined chlorine. So if you're using just an OTO drop, that's really old school, and it's just not effective. So, all right. So we got DW came back, and he says, we are about to change the water, but it will be going out of town for a few months. Would it be good to drain the tub completely before leaving town? If so, any tips for leaving it dry? If you're going to be out of town for a few months and it's the middle of summer, if you're going to be out of town for a couple of months, I would actually recommend, and you don't have anybody that can check on it at all, it's better to leave water in it because it's hard on the pumps and the seals and all of that. So I highly do suggest that you keep water in it. However, if you do want to drain it, so if you can have somebody come check on it once a month or so and just put a little bit of chlorine or hit that boost button once a month, you'd probably be okay because it won't really matter if it does shut down. And if you're going to drain it as soon as you get back, that would be my recommendation. However, if you do decide you're going to drain your hot tub for the summer or even for the winter, if you're going to drain it for the winter, make sure you winterize it. Have it professionally winterized. I can't stress that enough. But if you're going to drain it for the summer, that's not as important. But one little trick that I have found that works incredibly well, and is there's you can go to the local hardware store, and there's a product called Damp Rid, and there's these little packets, and if you just put those like in a bucket or a bowl, they'll keep all that mold and stuff from building up and while the hot tub is just sitting there. You do want to cover it. You don't want the sun beating down on it directly, and try to get as much of the water out before you leave. So take a shot vac and go on each and every jet and suck the water out. And then I would probably recommend doing a purge before you fill it back up. And it doesn't do you a whole lot of good to do the purge at the end. You want to do the purge before you fill it back up. But that damp rid has been a lifesaver, and has worked really, really well. So that's a nice little hack that I have that I suggest that everybody, maybe if you're going to let your hot tub sit empty for a while, winter or summer, if you get that damp rid and you put it in the hot tub and close it up, it helps a lot keeping the mold and mildew that build up in the hot tub. Again, it's always best to keep water in your hot tub if you can. The seals dry out. It's hard on the plumbing. It's better to have water in it than it's not. But that is a really good trick. And if you don't have anybody that can watch it at all, then definitely you want to. If you don't have anybody that can watch it at all, you definitely want to drain it and then get some of that damp red. You can get it at the local hardware store, and it's really inexpensive, and it saves you a lot of work on the back end. So highly recommend that as well. Question number 3. What are the recommended levels for pH and alkalinity for a hot tub? This was my number one question while I was out and about, or out, was where do I set my alkalinity and pH? Alkalinity, you want to be between 80 and 120. And if you ever look on the back of your test strips, and this is why I like test strips as well, it'll actually have an okay range for you on your alkalinity. Alkalinity is the most important. Now, if you have an iCare, it's going to not test out alkalinity, but it does test it. It's just kind of in the background and makes adjustments accordingly. But alkalinity is the most important. It is the buffer for everything else. If your alkalinity is high or if your alkalinity is low, your pH is going to bounce all over the place. And it's really important that you get the alkalinity in line. That's probably more important than your sanitizer. So if you have a real high alkalinity, let's say you have a 240 or a 320, and I see that all the time in my market, it's going to take a ton of pH decreaser to get that down. And typically it'll take 2 to 4 tablespoons every day from anywhere from 8 to 16 days to get that down. If it's low, you just add a little bit of alkalinity increaser, which is sodium bicarbonate, and usually one dose, and you're right where you need to be. If you guys ever need to, if you guys ever need it, I do have if you guys ever need it, I do have cheat sheets on my website, www.thehottublady.co. That's not C-O-M-C-O, thehottublady.co. I'll have links down in the description and links in the show notes. And then if you just go to downloads, it has all my free downloads, but one of which is the pH and alkalinity cheat sheets. And it has every single gallonage and every single dosage to fix a hot tub. So I highly suggest that you guys check that out. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You have it, and then you're good to go. And then just keep that in your hot tub toe and go with that. So alkalinity needs to be between 80 and 120. Your pH needs to be 7.6. And if you are ever wondering, like a pH on a salt system, your pH a byproduct of the salt system is the pH will climb. And so for most of my saltwater customers, I actually recommend that they put in a couple teaspoons of pH decreaser on a monthly basis, just because your salt's going to climb on its own. And that's one of those things to check out. Another thing you guys can check out, if you want to check out the book Hot Tub Clarity, it's available on Amazon. Just Google or just search Hot Tub Clarity book. It has all that in there. And I do have in there as well those same guides. So those guides are available in there as well for you to check. And then if you get one of the logbooks, then you can just keep track of all that and what you've done and how to do it. And it keeps track of your pH, your alkalinity, your inventory, your hot tub serial number, everything that you're going to need. But I have those for the chlorine, the frog eddies, and also the saltwater hot tubs. So if you get those, you can pick those up on Amazon. Again, links will be down below in either the show notes or the description. But all that stuff is there, and it's available for you to use. And it's so helpful. I give it to every single hot tub customer that comes into the store and needs help. I actually print that off for them or send them a link so that they can have that. So those of you that aren't in my market, that's a really good way to do that. So alkalinity needs between 80 and 120. pH needs to be at 7.6. Super important that you balance those. Your chlorine will work, or your sanitizers will work so much better if you have your pH in line. So let's say your pH is at an 8.4 on your hot tub. Your sanitizer is a third less effective. So if your normal dose of chlorine is 1 tablespoon of chlorine, if you wait until your pH is at 8.4, it actually takes 3 tablespoons of chlorine. So it's a huge money saver and a huge time saver for you to make sure that your pH and alkalinity are definitely in line. So my next question that I've been seeing a lot of is, how do I balance my chemicals in the hot tub? Basically just answered that for you. So if you have any more questions on that, please reach out and let me know. And then if you guys need to get a hold of me, that Clean Your Filters channel is probably one of the best places to get a hold of me, but you can also reach out to me on Instagram at the Hot Tub Lady. DM me there. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Or you can email me at Jackie, JACQUE, at thehottublady.co. So again, via my website, I will definitely get back to you. Not always right away, but usually within 24 hours, I can get to you. So number 5, how often should I clean and replace my hot tub filter? If you guys don't listen to anything else, and this is the only thing you get out of the podcast today, cleaning your hot tub filter is the most important thing you can do as a hot tub owner. It is our number one service call, hands down. Without a doubt, we go through dirty filters are 100% our number one service call, especially when it's cold and it's snowing. It will shut the heater down on the hot tub. And if it does that, and we can't get to you right away, and unfortunately, the hot tub world has grown so much, there's just not enough service techs out there. So we have to schedule things out there. We get to you as fast as we can, but that is detrimental to a hot tub. So clean your hot tub filter. I'm going to tell you to clean it weekly, hoping you do it monthly, because even myself, I don't do as good a job as I should, and especially this last 6 months when I've been out on with my knees, it really didn't get done very much at all. But you should clean your hot tub filters, let's say weekly. You should clean them with a cleaner, like a filter degreaser or something like that, monthly, and you should replace them yearly. Now, if you're a hot tub owner and you have the Tri-X filters, and those are the ceramic filters, those are in the High Life series. Those are a 5-year filter, and those can be cleaned in the dishwasher. And that's the reason to buy that hot tub alone, because it really makes your life a lot easier. But they are definitely on the luxury end of hot tubs. I have one. I love it, but there's a lot more hot tubs out there without those filters. So be sure and check that out. But you do want to clean those, make that a routine, put it on your phone, set a reminder, clean my hot tub filter, because that time gets away from you so much faster than you think it does. So it's really important that you do that. Let's go to question number 6. What are the best chemicals to use for hot tub sanitation? So I'm a chlorine girl. I like chlorine. I think chlorine is the best. You do need to find what works best for you. I am a Spa Guard girl. I really like their chemicals. I've kind of grew up on them. The I started using those clear back in '98. I was using Spa Guard chemicals, so I've had a hard time leaving them. There's a lot of really good brands out there these days, and a lot of stuff to check out. Be careful. There's a lot of fillers in some of the. Just because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's better. The There's a lot of fillers in some of the chemicals that are out there, especially some of the big box stuff and some of the stuff that you can find on Amazon. It can, if it's not a premium product, there's lots of calcium and lots of just fillers. So you're not paying for a bottle of chlorine. You're paying for a bottle of calcium that's a third chlorine, and so it takes more chlorine to use that. So kind of think that out. So again, I'm a chlorine girl. My if I didn't have salt, which I do have salt on my hot tub, that is my favorite system to go with, and it's it's a learning curve. You got to learn it, but once you learn it, you do love it. My second choice is the Frog at Ease. Those are the chlorine cartridges or the ball. And what I like about those is you don't really have to think about it. Once you get it dialed in, it's you change that chlorine cartridge once a month, or that ball will flip over and tell you it's empty. And when that happens, it's just time to change it. I like that because it's about as automatic as you can get as far as chlorine systems go. And it's a real low chlorine system. It only needs a zero point 0.5 part per million of chlorine. And it's really effective, and it keeps the water good. And it works with the silver cartridge. And so that silver also helps sanitize the water and kill bacteria and that type of thing. And then, of course, then just chlorine concentrate. One thing I will tell you on chlorine concentrate, if you are using chlorine concentrate, a lot of people will be like, well, I just put chlorine in yesterday and out today. It is, if you're using chlorine concentrate, you are going to have to put it in every day. Every 3 days is the minimum or the maximum that you would be able to put your chlorine in. A lot of people like to use, if they're using chlorine concentrate and just adding it, that chlorine concentrate, they'll just put in a couple tablespoons every time after they get out per person. That works. I did that for years when I was younger. Now that I'm older and there's a lot of other stuff out there, and I got my eye care and all that, I don't do that as much. If you're gonna, I do recommend adding ozone if you're on chlorine only, and I do recommend using a silver stick, either the Spa Frog or the Nature 2 stick. Again, be careful on that. A lot of stuff out there that's like on Amazon, and there's a lot of imported stuff that doesn't have any silver in it at all. They're just calling it a mineral stick, and those aren't really doing they don't really do the job of what needs to be done. So again, pay attention. I'm all about a bargain myself. I like to look for the best deal, but the best deal isn't always the right deal. So kind of keep that in mind as well. But again, I'm a chlorine girl. If you are on bromine, the one thing I would recommend when I'm still talking about chlorine, you do not want to do chlorine tablets. Chlorine tablets they do not belong in a hot tub. They create cyanuric acid, and they're just really hard on your hot tub. They will they will cause you service calls, guaranteed. So don't, and they'll drive your pH and alkalinity. They'll just go way down, and you're just asking for problems. So if you're going to use chlorine, you want to make sure you're using the powder. If you want to use a tablet, then you can switch to bromine and the bromine tablet. And those are pretty automatic as well. They will drive your pH and alkalinity down, but not as bad as the chlorine tablet does. And again, usually you can put 1 or 2 tablets in the floater. You don't want to put them just directly in the hot tub. 1 or 2 tablets in the floater, probably have to replace those every 5 to 7 days. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. But that works. That works pretty well. So those are my choices. That's what I would pick for sanitizers. There's lots of other sanitizers and a lot of new stuff coming out that will be pretty amazing, but just kind of keep your eye on that. And if there's something new that I think is worth sharing, I will definitely share it on this channel. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Question number 6. What? Oh, oops, we just did that one. Let's turn that one off. Question number 7. How do I avoid and get rid of hot tub foam? Great question. Hot tub foam is annoying. It's you just absolutely hate it. And there's 2 types of hot tub foam. There is the hot tub foam that literally is a soap. That typically will come from shampoo in the hair, body oils a little bit. Most of the time, it's going to come from your swimsuits. I actually recommend to all of my customers that they do not have swimsuits that go through the washing machine, or if they do, they go without soap. You don't use laundry soap when you wash your swimsuits. At our house, we have just hot tub swimsuits. We don't do we don't do wash those suits and then redo those, but and then all of our kids that come and visit us, they all have suits that just stay here, and we just use those and we don't put in new swimsuits. One of the biggest culprits, and those of you with kids, would be friends come over and they don't want to show their bodies, so they wear a t-shirt. No street clothes in your hot tub. It's you're just asking, like t-shirts and something like this that 100% holds more soap than a swimsuit would. That material holds more soap, and that will definitely make your hot tub foam up. Another detergent type is not getting all the filter cleaner out of your filters when you clean them. That will definitely cause foam as well. So that's actually the easy foam. That's the foam that's pretty easy to get rid of. Little trick I've learned in the last couple of years is you want to turn all the air jets on, get that hot tub foaming as much as you can, and then either take a leaf blower or a shop vac and suck off the foam or blow off the foam, just the foam, not the water, and get rid of that, because you got to physically get it out of the hot tub. If you don't, the only other way to do it is to drain it. Anti-foam is a great product. Just a drop or two will help with that a lot, but it's really important that you don't overdose that, because that will cloud the water if you get too much anti-foam in your hot tub, and then you will have to drain it. But just a drop or two will help with that, and then to physically get it to foam up as much as possible, and scrape off, blow off, suck off, get as much of that foam out of there as you can. So that's the easy foam. Then there is the low sanitizer foam. Low sanitizer foam is a problem. It can make you sick if you don't get it taken care of. It's the hot tub telling you there's something wrong with the hot tub, and that's typically, it's more of a scummy foam. You'll get big bubbles on it that are kind of scummy, or kind of like have a skin on them, would be the best way that I can describe it. And typically those are your sanitizer's too low and your pH and alkalinity are off. So if anytime you have foam, it's always a good idea to test your hot tub water. And if your sanitizer's low and the pH and alkalinity are off, fix that first, because that's going to help with the foam big time. Usually a super good shock, and again, you want to foam up as much as you can, and you're going to get a scummy line on the hot tub and that type of stuff. You want to physically remove as much as you can, and then get your sanitizer up to a 10 part per million of free chlorine. You want to make sure you get up to that. You don't have to be there for very long, but get that up. Make sure the pH is at 7.6 and the alkalinity is between 80 and 120, and it should clear up. Always, whenever you have a foam issue, make sure you clean your filters as soon as you get the foam to settle down, so it doesn't come back. So you want to clean your filters, and usually if you just rinse them real good with some strong power, that helps a lot. But that's definitely one of the ways that you can do that. So we got Chris Stanley over here. Let's see what she has to say. I want to love the Frog Addie's ball system, but I struggle with keeping my pH and alkalinity in line. pH is always on the high end, and the alkalinity struggles to stay above 80 for me. Interesting. How old's your water, Chris? That typically when your pH, your alkalinity and your pH start going opposite directions, that usually kind of means that your water's getting kind of old, and you want to do that. And I'm switching back to regular chlorine granules from the Frog system. And you can definitely do that. It's just a matter of finding out what system works for you. Because they're all different. There is no, if there was one system for everybody, you guys wouldn't need me. There would be no hot tub lady. There would probably not be any dealers and that type of thing. If there was just one recipe that we could say, hey, this is for everybody and it's going to work for everyone at every time, it would be fantastic. But that isn't the case. And I liked chlorine concentrate. And if you're going to switch back again, I would consider putting a silver ball with it. or not a silver ball, but a silver stick again. And if you want to switch to Nature 2 and change that every 3 to 4 months, the big thing is on a silver stick. If you guys have a silver stick, you have to change that every time you change your water. So they last 3 to 4 months if you can sneak them out a little bit longer. But if you change your water anytime, you have to change your mineral stick. So if you have only a month-old mineral stick in your hot tub, and you change the water, that stick is no longer good, or the blue cartridge is no longer good on the Spa Frog system. You have to replace that once you replace that water. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. But chlorine concentrate's great, and I highly recommend it. So if if you want to go that route, and then again, if your water's getting kind of old with your pH and alkalinity going opposite directions, that typically is the case on that as well. So, oh gosh, where are we at? Um, Question number 9. I think I skipped one in there, but what are the best ways to prevent hot tub scale buildup? Hot tub scale buildup is one of the hardest things to deal with. I actually just did do a video recently. It was one of the last videos I did, and it was hot tub, what to do when your hot tub feels like sandpaper. And in my market, again, we have hard water around here, and that's a really big deal. So I'm talking to everybody that is not a saltwater hot tub right now. If you have anything above 80 part per million on hardness for your hot tub, you need to be putting in a product called stain and scale control. And I've tried other products out there. I really think that Spa Guard is the best one for that. But stain and scale control, a 300-gallon hot tub should get 3 ounces once a week. And it's really important. It is as important as oil for the car. I would actually put it's almost as important as the sanitizer itself. Because what happens is that scale builds up, and then you think everything's fine, and then all of a sudden you go out there one day, and the next day all the scale has fallen out of solution. And now the hot tub feels like sandpaper. And if you ever try to clean that up by hand, I mean, you'll throw the hot tub away. It's so hard. I mean, it is literally sandpaper stuck to the side of the hot tub. And if it's on the shell of the hot tub, can you imagine how bad the pumps and the lines and everything on the inside is? And I've seen so many hot tubs over the years where the circulation pump line, that's a really little line. I mean, that's probably about double the size of this ink pen, and the diameter of that line. And I've actually seen that fill up and plug with calcium or scale. And when that does that, that shuts your heater off. And that's just a really bad thing. Super hard on filters. I mean, it'll ruin a filter. And you think they look fine because scale is white and your filter is white. But as you rinse it out, it just keeps coming and coming and coming. And so it's really important that you're using stain and scale control. Again, if you're a saltwater hot tub, you do not want to use that because it contains phosphates, and phosphates and saltwater hot tubs do not get along. But there are phosphates in stain and scale control. Every other brand, every other sanitizer is a big deal. The phosphates don't matter as much. To be honest with you, I probably wouldn't even worry about my phosphates if I had a chlorine or a bromine hot tub, but a saltwater hot tub, you do have to worry about it a little bit. But it's really important you do that. Now, if you get to the point that you already had the chlorine drop or this hardness drop out, if you've already had the hardness drop out of solution, what you will need to do at that point is what they do is stain and scale purge. And then I highly recommend you check out my video. But basically, you're going to put a whole bottle of stain and scale in. You're going to let it run for 24, 48 hours. You're going to leave your filter in there, and you want a bad filter. So don't ever throw your filters away. Maybe keep them in the corner or something so that you can, for purges and that type of thing, sometimes you can recycle them for that. But you're going to put a bad filter in there. You're going to clean that filter as often as you can, every 2 to 3 hours, and then you're going to throw the filter away at that point because you are going to trash it, because you got to physically get that calcium out of the hot tub. and then you're going to drain it, you're going to refill it, you're going to drain it again, refill it, and at that point you should be in pretty good shape. But it's to hand clean that or try to get that out of there on your own. That's a tough deal. And if you live in a market where you have hard water and you just start filling or you just start using stain and scale control, it may actually get worse before it gets better because of the that calcium is in the lines already. It's starting to build up, and then it's going to start forcing that out and forcing it into solutions. So if you start using it and then all of a sudden you feel the hot tub feels a little bit rough, that's actually a good thing. It means you're working it loose, and just keep putting that 3 ounces in once a week. Stain and scale is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated and most important products that you can put in your hot tub. So let's kind of go from there. Let's go back to Chris. She says, I change my water about every 3 months. I was thinking I was going with the Nature 2 stick, hoping to have better success. Thank you for the content and suggestions. You're very welcome, and thank you for watching and supporting. That means the world to me. I really, really do appreciate it. And so I think we are on question number 10. How long does a hot tub cover last? This one comes up a lot. And people don't think about it this time of year, and you should think about it this time of year. Typically, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get a hot tub cover. In the middle of COVID, we were up to 2 years out at one point. So kind of keep that in mind if the world ever changes again. But hot tub covers will last 4 to 7 years. They do get saturated. I don't care if your hot tub's inside. I don't care if the hot tub's covered. I don't care if you put a cover over the top of your hot tub cover. What happens is that cover sits on top of the water of the hot tub, and that's steaming off. And so between the hot tub water and the cover, it's constantly bouncing up there. Those hot tub covers are styrofoam, and eventually they take on water and they become waterlogged. Once they are waterlogged, they are no longer effective, and they can cause a lot of damage to your hot tub, especially if you have a cover lifter on. They're really heavy, and you quit using your hot tub, and you have this beautiful bowl of medicine in your backyard that is going to make your life so much better if you use your hot tub, but the hot tub cover is so heavy you won't take it off, or you only using half of your hot tub. You know, the average cost of a hot tub right now is probably about $12,000, and if you're not using it because your cover is heavy, just spend the money and get a new cover. It definitely makes a difference, and the amount of money it's going to save you on energy is unbelievable. So get the new cover. Just work it into the budget. It is cost of ownership. It's like tires for a car. It is something that you do have to replace every 4 to 7 years. If you have a cover lifter on your hot tub, which I highly recommend, I actually probably won't sell you a hot tub without a cover lifter at this point in the game, because you will use your hot tub 90% more. But if you don't have a cover lifter on your hot tub, or if you have a cover lifter on your hot tub and your cover gets saturated and it starts getting heavy, I mean, those get really, really heavy. I mean, I've seen them over 1,000 pounds. I've seen them where the guys can't get them out of the backyard and they have to cut it into force. So that's how heavy they get. But if you have that cover lift and you slam that really heavy cover off, and it rips that cover lifter, rips the paneling off the hot tub, which it does, and now your repairs are just crazy ridiculous. If you think hot tubs are expensive, hot tub panels are crazy expensive. So if your hot tub cover starts getting, you start noticing that it's getting a little bit heavier, start thinking about it now. And again, right now you should be able to get a hot tub cover anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, and you definitely want to get one before winter hits, because start thinking, you know, May, June, July, August, and then they can get it here. You can get it installed. You can replace it, and then you're good to go November, December, when the temperature starts dropping and your energy bills are going to start going up. So that's a really big deal, and I highly recommend that you just think about it. And if it's been more than 4 years since you've last replaced your cover, just inspect it, make sure there's no holes in it. You know, a hole in a cover will ruin it faster than anything. So holes or tears or anything like that. And then make sure that I like 303 protectant, but you want to put a vinyl protectant on the top of the cover once a month or so. That'll help it last a little bit longer, and then clean the inside, especially when you do a drain, clean, and refill. Just wipe it down real good and get everything out of there. But just just kind of keep in mind that every 4 to 7 years. And again, those 4 to 7 years go way faster than you think they do. The amount of people that come in and be like, "Oh, I just got my hot tub. I can't need a new cover." And then when we look it up, it's been 5, 10 years. So that's just something to think about. And let's go to our next question. How often should I shock my hot tub? Great question. And it's really important that you shock your hot tub. For the how often should I shock my hot tub? You should shock your hot tub once a week. If you're a saltwater hot tub, you can hit that boost button. There's just a little boost button on there. That's the same thing as shock, and actually I prefer you use the boost button over adding shock, because if you're adding shock, you're adding extra chemical and you're adding your total dissolved solids, and you're doing all the things that make you drain that hot tub sooner. If you're on a chlorine or a bromine hot tub, you should shock your hot tub once a week. And when you shock your hot tub, first thing is make sure that the cover is completely off, and you put the shock in, and you let the jets run for at least 20 minutes. And what that does is it takes all the bad stuff in the hot tub and it gases it off, and it goes out into the atmosphere, and it's no longer in your hot tub and it's gone. If you have the cover even half on, what happens is that those contaminants get gassed off, but they come out, they hit that cover, and they bounce right back down in, and you're actually making the problem worse. And the whole reason for shocking and why we even do it is, before earlier when I was talking about chloramines or bromamines, so the combined sanitizing molecule, you have to break those apart so they become a good molecule again. And that's the only way to do it is you got to shock it. So when you shock, you have to get to 10 part per million, which is what we call breakpoint chlorine. So like if you look on your test strip, you've got on the free chlorine, that's that real dark purple. It's that real dark purple there. And you only need to be there for like a minute or so. But if you're not getting there, you're just adding more stuff to get combined to the molecules. So it's really important that you get to 10 part per million of free chlorine, and that will actually turn that bromine molecule or that chlorine molecule, and even if it's at ease, it's going to turn it back into a good working molecule. And if you're doing your due diligence and changing your hot tub water every 3 to 4 months, you're never going to have any issues. But if you start trying to drag that water out, it's going to be harder and harder and harder to keep that water clear and to keep it balanced. So that's kind of a big deal there. So shocking is really, really important, and you need to make sure you do that. And if you just plan on once a week, and then again on the saltwater hot tubs, if you hit that boost button once a week, you're good. You'll be good to go. This question came up a couple times while I was out, and it was, should I use natural or chemical-free hot tub treatment? I have not found one that I really like. I haven't found one that actually does the job. There's been lots of stuff over the years, like there's been copper treatments, and sometimes there's things out there that people call natural treatments, but they're not natural treatments. I'm not a huge fan of biguanides, which those are the same chemical that they use for eye contact, but there's probably, out of all the non-regular treatments, it's probably the most effective one that are out there. Anything that else is not an EPA approved sanitizer, I just haven't, and I've tried them. Trust me, I've tried them. And if somebody's got the newest, greatest thing, I'll check it out, and especially I'll try to help a customer through something if they're doing something. I haven't found the thing. I'm not a big fan of people trying to use peroxide or just using regular Clorox bleach, which you can do, but if you're adding Clorox bleach to your, sorry, I should just say bleach. But if you're adding bleach to your hot tub, you're also adding a lot of total dissolved solids to that. And again, you're just defeating the purpose. It is, and it takes so much more than a chlorine concentrate. Peroxides, you gotta be really, really, really careful with peroxides, and I'm just not a big fan of that. And the ozone works, but it doesn't work alone. It's not a standalone product. The UV lights, same thing. They're not a standalone product. They do work on the bacteria, but you still have to have chlorine to go along with it. There's some stuff out there that works, but I haven't found the one thing that I'm willing to put my name on and say, hey, this is the product that will work. So I'm all about EPA approved products. Chlorine and bromine are definitely the most effective and the easiest in the long run. So that is my take on that. I know there are people out there that would not agree with me, but that's where I'm at on that. How do I remove calcium buildup on my hot tub? We already talked about that. What can I do if my hot tub water is cloudy? So what you can do if your hot tub water is cloudy, first things first is clean your filter. That's always the first thing that you want to do. Second thing is you want to check your sanitizer level. Typically, cloudy water is a dirty filter and low sanitizer. Fix those two things, that'll usually fix it. Every once in a while, you'll have something that you've overdosed. So if you've overdosed to chemicals, which really means your total dissolved solids is too high, but if you put too much anti-foam in, staining scales, another one, if you put too much of that in, they will actually cloud the water and you can't fix it. You can't shock it or put enough chlorine in there to clear it. But it's, it's a big deal. But yeah, do that. And then you'll drain, clean, and refill it, and you'll be fine. But clean your filter first. Check your sanitizer. Make sure your pH isn't too high, because high pH will cause cloudy water as well. Do those three things, and 9 times out of 10 you'll fix it, and you can usually fix it within 24 to 36 hours. But you got to give your chemicals time to work, and sometimes it'll take a couple of times to clean your. Sometimes it'll take a couple of times to clean your filters to get it cleared up, but it does depend on how often or how cloudy your it depends on how cloudy your your water actually is, on how often you have to clean the filters, and it also depends on how long your filter cycle is. I love 24-hour circulation pumps. If you don't have a 24-hour circulation pump on your hot tub, I recommend that you have your hot tub running a minimum of 6 hours a day. So that's a big deal on keeping your hot tub clean. A lot of the hot tubbing manufacturers have their filter cycles defaulted to 30 minutes. So if yours, that's something to check. And every hot tub's a little bit different, so you're gonna have to check your owner's manual on how to change that. But they are all changeable, and I do recommend a minimum of 6 hours a day. So that's kind of a big deal. But that is how you clear a dirty or a cloudy hot tub. We got Lori Fisher with us, and she says, should I buy a hot tub with an ozonator? Yes, you should. It depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a saltwater hot tub, you do not need ozone with that. If it's got a 24-hour circulation pump, I recommend an ozonator. Ozone is great. Keep in mind, ozonators are a little bit of maintenance. Most ozonators will have to be replaced every 1 to 2 years. If you get a corona discharge chip ozone, those typically need to be replaced every 4 to 7 years. So kind of keep that in mind, that if you get ozone, most people buy a hot tub with ozone and they think that ozone works for the rest of their lives. They have to be replaced. It's just one of the things that happens. Do they make a difference in your hot tub? Absolutely. And do they help? They do. I've been in the industry a really long time, and 20 years ago, it was end all be all, and you had to buy a hot tub with an ozone on it. Now it doesn't do as much as, 20 years ago we used to say it cut down on your chemical usage. Actually, I've been with it so long that it was supposed to be the end all be all, and you didn't have to do anything else. And then, a year or two later, okay, it's going to cut down your chemical usage by 80%. Couple years after that, or 10 years after that, okay, it's going to cut it down by 50%. 10 years after that, it's going to, okay, it's going to cut it down by 20 or 30%. You still have to do all your maintenance that you would have to do. So I wouldn't say it's going to cut down on your chemical usage, but it will make it easier to keep that water clear. And it does help. Um, it is kind of hard on the covers a little bit, but as long as you're using your hot tub, they'll be fine. I I, I would recommend ozone. Ozone's a good thing. So I hope that answered that question and didn't confuse you more. But that's what my glasses are fogging up here. It's really hot in here with the lights on. We did that one. Ooh, we're getting here. This is my last question. Are used hot tubs a good idea? That's I saw that one quite a bit when I was not on air. And yeah, used hot tubs are a good idea. This is what I would tell you about a used hot tub. I would probably buy it from a dealer. That's just my personal opinion. Is I would buy it from a dealer. I would make sure that if you buy it from a dealer, there most of them are going to have a guarantee that goes with it. Like our particular location, we have a 30-day guarantee. Some people, depending on the year of the hot tub, may have a longer guarantee, but they'll guarantee that at least it'll work when you take it home and put it in. If you have if you're buying it from a private party, I would never buy a hot tub from a private party that I didn't see hot, full of water, and running, where I could turn all the jets on and do everything like that. I actually went and just bought a hot tub from a private party for resale purposes, and it looked great on the picture. It looked great running. I know a few more things than the average person, but the cover needed to be replaced, which that's just given. We almost always know that we're going to have to replace a cover on a hot tub. And the other thing that happened is their pump seal was going out on their jet pump. The average person's not going to know that, but when we put the jet on high, the pumps were running really loud. I know as buying a used hot tub, there's always going to be something wrong with it. Nobody gets rid of a hot tub because it's working perfectly. But those were things that I was willing to accept, but I knew that was there. So never, ever, ever buy a hot tub that you don't see full of water and running. Check for leaks, check the cover, make sure the jets work, and make sure it's hot. And a little trick that I've seen a few people do lately is they'll like wash the cover off, quote, wash the cover off right before you show up, and then it's wet all the way around it, and then they're covering up the leak. So if you're not there at the time, I would say I'd like a video of that hot tub once it's dry. If you're really happy with it and you think everything's good, but then I would walk around and tell them that you need a video of it being dry, or tell them that you can come back and look at it when it's dry, because I have seen and heard that happen a couple of times. Used hot tubs are great bargain out there. There's quite a few of them for sale right now, just for different reasons. There were so many of them got sold over COVID, and the economy's slipping a little bit, so there are a lot of used hot tubs out there. Facebook's a great place to check that out and try to find those, but that's a good I wouldn't rule out a used hot tub, but if I was going to buy a used hot tub, I would recommend getting it from a dealer. You're going to be happier, and things are going to go well. So but anyway, guys, that is an hour already. So I'm so happy to be back. I'm glad to be here. I look forward to seeing you. We're going to try to shoot for Tuesdays. I will have a new video out on Sunday that you guys can check it out. Make sure you join the Clean Your Filter group. Join the channel membership. We do private spa schools on there. I'm going to make sure that those get done once a month now. Buy the book, Hot Tub Clarity. I just won a brand new award on that. Where did it put that? Hot Tub Clarity just won a brand new award, and they're going to be featuring that on the Times Square billboard. So I'm kind of excited about that. And so check that out. And if you guys need there's links down below for all kinds of free downloads. A 7-page hot tub care guide is a real quick guide to just all the brand new hot tub owners out there. That's free. You can just download that. But I really, really appreciate you guys, and thanks for letting me help you become a happy hot tub owner. And I will see you guys next week.